In 1978, in order to address our nation's lack of language proficient Americans, President Jimmy Carter convened the Commission on Foreign Language and International Studies. The Commission's charge was to review the existing legislation, assess national need, and recommend, quote, means for directing public attention to the importance of foreign language and international studies for the improvement of communications and understanding with other nations in an increasingly interdependent world. It was the vision and clear national concern expressed by members of the Commission, in particular, then Congressman Paul Simon and Congressman Leon Panetta, that led to the Commission's report defining the need for a leading body to continue to advocate for and support the growth of language learning with results for all Americans. One of the Commission's major recommendations was the creation of a Washington presence. In 1981, that presence began to be established, and the idea of the Joint National Committee for Languages and its sister association, the National Council for Languages and International Studies, was born as an educational association originally comprised of 8 members, giving life to this national need for grassroots educational advocacy and lobbying for language, and setting the stage for the development of this great collaborative organization.
Dean Elitis, as he's known due to his long tenure as Dean of Georgetown's School of Languages and Linguistics, was instrumental in founding JNCL-NCLIS. I am Dr. Nicole Cooper, and I'm an Associate Clinical Professor of Management at the University of Maryland. I interviewed Dean Elitis as part of my dissertation, which was an oral history of his life. Some have called Dean Elitis the Great One. Others called him Dean East, since he was a huge force in foreign language education and policy on the East Coast. However, despite these monikers, I found Dean Elitis to actually be quite humble. It was difficult throughout our numerous interviews to get him to really take credit for these accomplishments that he'd done, running TESOL, passing the NDAA, founding JNCL. And one of his strengths was really in identifying talent. Whether it was Dr. Deborah Tannen at Georgetown's School of Languages and Linguistics, or Dr. J. David Edwards at JNCL, he had a nose for finding great people. Speaking about JNCL, Dean Elitis said, "This had a funny beginning. The Presidential Commission on Foreign Languages and International Studies was headed by then President of Cornell University. It was the Perkins Commission. It came out and I saw what was happening. I'd been in the government and I saw what happened to those reports. And at a meeting for the Joint National Committee of Languages in Tucson, I said, look, you guys, what's going to happen to this? It's going to die. We ought to have our own lobby group. And so, to thank me for my suggestion, they made me chairman of the committee to find somebody. And we found a couple of people, but then I found that gem in the backyard named Dave Edwards."
Since 1981, JNCL-NCLIS has continued to grow as a coalition that encompasses all aspects of language learning in the United States, all levels of education, language services, and language learning companies. The strength of the common consistent voice used by JNCL-NCLIS and its many advocates has moved lawmakers and administrative leaders over the decades to make language a priority in legislative action. Through the years, JNCL-NCLIS has found great political champions and their unforgettable staff members whose actions have yielded great strides to support equitable language learning opportunities and language preservation and revitalization programs. Beyond the borders of Washington, D.C., JNCL continues to be a strong partner for our advocates out in the states and municipalities, working to sustain and grow language learning, save programs in danger of being cut, support equitable teacher development, impact policies and practices for language services, and focus on global connections across education and business. In 2015, as a result of the collaboration of the Lead with Languages national campaign, led by ACTFL, and the nonstop work of JNCL-NCLIS advocates gaining lawmaker support, Congress commissioned a study by the American Academy of Arts and Sciences that renews and enhances the charge set forth by the Carter Commission in 1978. The AAAS Commission report entitled America's Languages, Investing in Language Education for the 21st Century calls on us to improve access to as many languages as possible for people of every age, ethnicity, and socioeconomic background. The recommendations of this landmark study, to which so many JNCL-NCLIS members and other leaders around the fields of language volunteered their time and support, is the foundation that guides JNCL-NCLIS advocacy and strengthens our coalition. JNCL-NCLIS celebrates this milestone of collective accomplishments and the continued success and growth of collaboration across all language fields. The work of JNCL-NCLIS does not stop here. This year of presidential transition is yet another great step toward achieving the mission and vision of the organization. A world where language facilitates the free movement of people, information, and ideas, builds mutual understanding and acceptance of cultural and linguistic diversity, and promotes the personal development of the individual. Raise your voice, share your story, and join JNCL-NCLIS for this next chapter of language advocacy.